Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name's Shirley Bollett, and I'm a very long-time friend of Linda's. And I don't live here, as probably most of you have realized by now. I'm very honored to be speaking to you today. I didn't know the first song would break me up, so we'll see how I do here. Before I begin, though, I would just like to ask Linda's family to stand so that you can see who they are and where they are, so that if you would like to speak with them at some point, if you haven't already, you're able to do that. So I wonder if we could just have Hayward and Quinn and Laverne and all the brothers and sisters and spouses and kids just stand up for a moment. Thank you. So as I said, it's a great privilege and honor today to honor Linda. And in that process, also her partner Hayward and Quinn and her family and friends and all of you who are gathered here. Linda was my longtime friend and what I like to call kindred spirit. Linda was so many things. She was a grief counselor, a massage therapist, a mother, a partner, a daughter, a sister, and a friend to so very many. As you all know, life was never dull around Linda. She lived with passion, great passion, and she lived with heart. Linda was 18 years old and I was 22 when we met at a 4-month program for young adults at the Naramata Center in BC. For both of us, it was our first deep dive into personal growth and community. And although at the ripe old age of 22, I thought I was rather older and wiser at the time, the truth was that we were both at a crossroads in our lives at that point and trying to figure out what was next. So when that program ended, Linda and I decided to move to Vancouver together. So with a few $100 between us and some kind friends who agreed to put us up rent-free until we got jobs, we started a new chapter in our lives together in a new city. And we shared an apartment together for about a year, and then I headed off to do something else, but it was just long enough to really launch us both at that point in our lives and to cement a lifelong friendship. So a few years later, Linda left the Vancouver area, and our contact has been sporadic over the years. Letter writing wasn't one of Linda's biggest fortes, so we did stay in touch though, and when we did get together, it was like no time had passed. And the closeness that we shared in those early days somehow just was there every time we got back together again. And I'm sure many of you have experienced that as well. Linda eventually settled in Edmonton, where she worked as a massage therapist, and I suspect that she did a lot of counseling when she had people on her table, and I know I sure liked being put on her table when I'd come to visit. So over those years, there were two big developments that stood out for me that I heard from mostly from afar. And one was in 1988 when she had her son Quinn. And I know that this ushered in a whole new chapter of Linda's life. And I have this wonderful photo of her holding Quinn as a little baby, and she's just beaming in this photo. And on the back, in her writing, it says, Quinn Jordan Russell Baker and his very happy mother. So I know that some years after Quinn was born, Linda went back to school and studied social work, and it wasn't surprising to me that she went into the area of grief work, because even as a teenager, she had given me a book by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, and on death and dying. And I know that that was something that was on her mind a lot through her life, and she never shied away from those difficult topics in the way that many of us would. And so for 15 years, Linda worked intensely and with great passion in the area of grief counseling. I know that before she became ill, she facilitated many grief groups, offered one-to-one counseling, and I know she told me she loved doing public talks to educate people about grief. I suspect, I don't know, but I suspect she educated hundreds, if not thousands of people. And then the other significant event, and I'm sure there were many more, but these were the ones that really stood out for me, was almost 10 years ago. Linda met her partner, Hayward. And I could tell by her communications that this man was special. And he was a great dancer. Linda later told me that Hayward was the kindest man that she'd ever met. And given her sometimes up and down relationship history, I know that this was very important and very healing for Linda. So Linda and Hayward built a beautiful home and have built a life together and had many wonderful adventures motorcycling around Europe, which I sometimes got to see pictures of. I know that these trips, I always got the sense from Linda that these trips to Europe were such a happy, sort of carefree counterpoint to the very intense work that she did on a day-to-day basis. So over the years, Linda was my go-to resource whenever I had questions about dealing with death and grief, either personally myself or with clients that I work with as a coach. And I shared her wisdom and her resources with many people. During the past 2 years when I visited, and we would be out, we'd often, almost always, run into someone who had been in a group with her at some point. And I remember one woman in particular, and I hope this is okay to share if you happen to be here, forgive me, who had lost her teenage daughter to a brain tumor and became very teary when she tried to express to Linda how much Linda had helped her during this very dark time of her life. And it seemed to me at the time rather cruelly ironic that Linda was now the one that was battling a brain tumor. However, Linda had witnessed and heard so many stories of loss over the years. She knew that none of us is immune. I know that after her diagnosis, when I asked her if she ever asked, "Why me?" she replied, quote, matter-of-factly, "Why not me?" I know that Linda drew strength from the teachings of Buddhism. She was always reminding me, and I'm sure many of you, to live in the now, as she sought to do daily, no matter what was happening with her health. She also really understood the importance of gratitude, and I was often moved that she expressed gratitude so often in her texts and her emails with me. Linda was one of the most alive people that I've ever known. She was also one of the most outspoken and one of the most loving. She had friends from all walks of life, and she could create a rapport with almost anyone, anywhere, it seemed to me. And I think this gathering is an out-picturing of that. She could be bluntly honest. I know some of you may have been on the receiving end of that too sometimes. However, for me that was so much a part of her charm. When she became ill, I observed, hearing about it from afar, and I observed it when I came to visit, this massive outpouring of support from this huge community of friends, family, former clients, people that she had come to know and had been touched by her over the years. It was such a demonstration of how many lives she had touched and how loved she was and is. And as someone who lived far away and couldn't be here to do as much of the day-to-day support as I might have wished, I just have to give my heartfelt thanks to all of you who took care of her in so many ways over these last few years. When I last visited Linda in late November, I knew it was probably the last time that I would see her. She was sleeping a lot at that stage and finding it more difficult to talk and hold the focus. So we couldn't converse as we once did. However, I was so glad to be here to help with her care, even for a very short period of time. I was really grateful to be able to do something to express my love at that stage. One evening when Linda was asleep, Hayward and I talked about how he and Linda had met. You know, sometimes the guy and the girl have different stories about how they met. So I had heard Linda's story, so now I heard Hayward's. Linda, as we all know, was the love of Hayward's life, and I knew that that was true for Linda too. I have rarely seen up close and personal myself such loving devotion in action as I saw with Hayward's care of Linda. By then she couldn't sit up or feed herself or get out of bed. And my reflection is that this is where the rubber meets the road when it comes to love. I know that Hayward was determined to keep Linda at home, and with the help of Linda's mother, Laverne, and many others, he fulfilled that mission, and Linda died at home surrounded by her family, people who loved her deeply. I'm so grateful for the journey I've shared with Linda. Personality-wise, Linda and I were very different. She was a free spirit, while I'm sort of the predictable, stable type. However, I felt loved and accepted by her on a very deep level, and I know she did too. I was blessed to be one of her many friends, and I think we all felt special, because I think that was one of Linda's gifts too, having people feel special. I'm also very grateful to have witnessed the deep love and devotion of Hayward and Linda. I know with Valentine's Day just behind us, Valentine's Day so often is about the romance end of things, and romance is great, but it's just the beginning of a love that can grow into the kind of devotion that I saw in Hayward's care of Linda. When I commented on this to Hayward, just how moved I was to see that, he said, well, that's just what you do when you love someone. And that is just what we do. And for me, it's a moving and a miraculous thing that couples and families live out this kind of love all the time. I think of this as the love we share, as I said, when the rubber meets the road. That's the love that I hope I can deliver on, if and when the time comes for me. That's the kind of love that inspired Linda to be there for individuals suffering grief and loss, even when that was hard and broke her heart. That's the kind of love that she gave so generously to her friends and community. That's the kind of love that they all, her community, you all, gave back to her when she needed it. Each of you in your own unique way, with your own special gifts and talents. She needed all of you. That's the kind of love that had Laverne cook probably a zillion meals and travel across the country in an RV with Linda and Hayward and then move right in to partner with Hayward in caring for Linda for her remaining time with us. Linda's big heart was the inspiration for all of us to open our hearts wide for her. So while we might have lost Linda on this physical plane, we will never lose the heart opening that she inspired or the precious memories and moments that we shared with her. Linda always told me that death ends a life, not a relationship. So let's celebrate our relationship with Linda today and enjoy this now moment of being together to laugh and cry with all these people that she has brought together. So now I'd like to invite Fred to come up for the eulogy.
Thank you, Shirley. Yes, my name is Fred Partington. For those of you who don't know me, I am Diane Koyich's husband. I will say, telling you about the relationship of Diane and Linda and leave it to these other words. Now, when I was asked to do this, I was supposed to read a eulogy that Linda had prepared. Linda is a Greek counselor, and of course, she would write her own words in terms of dealing with her departure from this world to help you deal with that. But when I sent it out to my family, I got some comments back, and I thought that maybe I would share these with you, and it may fill in some things for you. From Katie Koyich, my daughter, Diane's daughter, biological daughter, my stepdaughter. She wrote this when I asked her if she had anything she wanted to share. Quinn, Linda, Mom, and I, we were like family and still are. Quinn is like the brother I never had, and Linda like another mom, especially in my earlier years. As both single moms, Mom and Linda shared a nanny for Quinn and I. So Quinn and I would spend a lot of time together. Mom and Linda kind of co-parented for a while. They knew it took a village to raise kids and supported each other as they established themselves in the world of holistic health. Linda was always very kind and gentle, nurturing and loving with me. One of the clearest memories is being in the kitchen and dancing. She loved the Gypsy Kings, and there was always music playing when she didn't have clients. Her home filled with such warmth and happiness. When we were younger, Quinn and I had a tendency to get into fights, as brothers and sisters do. She was always very fair, never taking sides, and would always make us talk it through and deal with it, even at the age of 5. After we moved to England, we saw much less of each other, but she knew that I spent every summer in the Kootenays with Nick. And every time she would drive by, she would always leave a message for me at Nick's store. Even if I wasn't in town or around, just to let me know she had been there. When she was diagnosed with a tumor, it was within months of Mom. And I couldn't believe it. How could two such remarkable women that brought so much light into this world both be hit with such aggressive and devastating cancers? The way that Linda rallied through the whole thing was truly remarkable and a testament to her love for life. After years of living apart, their illnesses brought these two light bearers closer than they probably had ever been, and it was beautiful to see. My last memories of Linda were within a year of each other. The first time I saw her since she had been diagnosed was at my mom's celebration of life. I remember thinking to myself, now this is a woman who won't let cancer defeat her. She kept saying she was going to leave, but stayed and partied the night away. That's Linda. Dancing and laughing and living. A part of me really hoped that her fate would be different to Mom's. The last time I saw her was in November 2016. Quinn and I were over during my visit to Edmonton. The energy in the room was certainly heavier. She was notably weaker. Though her memory was not as good, she was still very present. We looked into each other's eyes with much loving understanding. We both knew what was to come. But it was going to be okay. I noticed that on one of her shelves she had a painting. Many of you will know it. It read, "Most people don't know that there are angels whose only job is to make sure we don't fall asleep and miss our lives." It caught my eye immediately. Mom had the exact same one. And it now sits at the entrance to my home. "I know that painting," I said. "I know," she said. "Your mom and I have the same one." We smiled at each other and moved on. I have always loved this painting, a beautiful reminder to take life by the horns and live it to the full. Now, whenever I look at that painting, I think of both my mom and Linda, two strong, fearless, and incredible women, taken from this world too soon. But their untimely and unfair death is a reminder to us all. Life is short. Let us wake up and live to our full potential. Let our grief be eased and our hearts warmed, knowing that they are now our angels, having a good old party, watching over us all, making sure we don't fall asleep and miss our lives. That's from my daughter. Two strong women. We are two women, strong and proud, shared so many things, as light bearers for this dear earth, before we got these wings. As single mothers, we survived with our determined drive and raised dear Katie and dear Quinn as brother and sister live. We shared our nannies and provided dads, and Nick and Albert too, and gave our kids an upbringing in which the children grew. Massage and holism was our trade, and at many folk fests plied our wares. And afterwards we partied hard and danced the night away, awake until the cows came home. And then some hours more. Some say we misbehaved a bit, but we just life explored. I met Fred, to England fled, and there became a suit, while you stayed here steadfastly and carried on the pilgrimage. Then Hayward emerged and fit your bill of a male most strong and true, and made you into a biker chick. Really, who knew? Our men, they danced so fearlessly, a prerequisite for sure, and stood by us through thick and thin, no chore for them, I'm sure. Now our spirits meet once again to dance at Folk Fest High, and maybe share a hoot or two, and wave to our friends goodbye. Now I will share Linda's words. My name is Linda Harris, and I am not here. You are gathered because I have died. No surprises, that was a nasty brain cancer. So I wrote this because I might have a few control issues. I and wanted to just show you that side of me one more time. We light this candle in honor of my life and your lives. May this flame continue to burn brightly in your hearts and memories. You come together today as a community to celebrate life and mourn the death of me, Linda Aris, a partner, a mother, a daughter, a sister, a colleague, an auntie, and a friend. You gathered to pay tribute and to say farewell to a special woman whose life came to an end on January 19th. You have also gathered to show our love, care, and support for each other. There are some who are unable to be here today, and we know that their thoughts and prayers are with us at this time. It is at times like this that community needs to come together, and we honor life by gathering, celebrating, and mourning as a community. In the midst of the sadness, we also want to make room for joy and gratitude. We want to remember the good times and those things that give us meaning and fullness to life. Life is made up of 10,000 sorrows and 10,000 joys, so let's make room for all of it. Linda was a bright light in the life of many, with her quick wit and her unique way of caring. And as I frequently reminded Hayward, I'm the funniest person I know. A caring and loving woman, I was always good for giving you an honest opinion, whether you wanted it or not. Linda was born in Edmonton, June 8, 1959. She was the third of 6 children. She is the proud mom of Quinn, a wonderful person and a fantastic chef and friend. Linda lived her life with a simplicity and energy that spoke volumes. She was present and conscious in her words and actions. Her love to her family and friends and the citizens of the world deeply influenced her choices in life. She lived life making conscious choices. Linda made a choice to die consciously and with grace. Linda's journey was one of grace. Right till the end, Linda continued to show compassion for others. Linda's heart was as big as a house. She was kind in simple ways, in generous ways. A big believer in networking and building community. Linda was always one to bring people together. And here we are today. Death offers us the space to step out of the busyness of our daily lives and enter a space where we reflect on love, on our priorities, and on community. We share our sorrows, where they say, a sorrow shared weighs half as much. We celebrate a life well lived. Grief is the price we pay for love, and we are grateful to have known and loved Linda. Linda is a part of your biography. She remains a part of your life as you continue to share your memories. The landscape of your life is different because of knowing her. She will continue to touch you by the choices you make. The choice to live consciously, to help others, to live with joy, to remember to dance and laugh, and to create space for silence. When you enjoy a good laugh or a great meal, you will remember Linda. I invite you to hold her in our hearts and find joy in the moments. Linda showed compassion to others throughout her life and in her daily choices. We honor Linda by being compassionate to others and to ourselves. This time of grief is a time that demands compassion. Life will be different without Linda. She always said it was all about her. Well, let's continue to laugh and make it not only about Linda, but also all about living big. We will miss the visits, the conversations, the laughter, the stories that we shared, and the things that made her special to us. But know that she lives in your hearts, your thoughts, and your memories. Linda's life will continue to be an inspiration to you and to many people for generations to come. We have indeed been blessed to have her in our lives and are grateful for the life shared. In the midst of life, we are in death. Let us know full well that the spirit of Linda is now in our hearts. Let us seek the courage in love to carry forward her memory in the lives we now lead. Let the best, which was Linda, be renewed in strength in us. Linda would wish it so let it be. Now, those are all Linda's words, written at different times during her illness. And so sometimes in the first person, sometimes in the third person, but it was something that she wanted us to hear. Thank you, Linda. On behalf of the family, I thank you for your presence here. It's greatly appreciated. I have the honor of suggesting to you that you stay and join the family for a time of sharing memories and refreshments, and of course dancing. There's an open bar, which you're all welcome to enjoy, but please don't drink and drive. We don't want any problems, any accidents with our dear friends here. There is first going to be a song and a slideshow before the partying begins. Thank you. That's for Linda.
Famous last words are laying around in tears, standing outside. Whatever I try, but I love you. That's all that really matters. This is goodbye. If this is goodbye,
Your bright shining sun light up the way before me. You were the one made me feel I could fly, and I love you. Whatever is waiting for me, if this is goodbye, if this is goodbye,
who knows how long we've got, or what we're made out of. Who knows if there's a plan or not? There is our love. I know there is our love.